Welcome, everybody, to the Natural Born Hunter podcast brought to you by Mountain Ops. Mountain Ops is a supplement company that specializes in the needs of the hunter. If you need a little more protein in your diet, boom, hit up the Magnum. 3 different sources of protein in there, so it absorbs in your body at different points in time, making it last longer so you can get stronger. You can also check out their Yeti pre-workout, perfect for hitting max lifts, PRs, getting your head in the game, and getting after it. They also have Enduro for those of you who are a little more cardio-based in your workouts, looking to charge hard for long hours at a time. Without further ado, let's fire this puppy up. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Natural Born Hunter podcast. Tonight, I am joined by my esteemed colleague and partner in arms, Phil Big Sexy Mendoza. And
What's
tonight,
up,
hey Phil, I was wondering if you were going to say something. I was getting nervous.
I'm here, man. I'm here.
I left you that wide opening for you to come on in.
I gotta hesitate with that intro still, man. That big sexy thing. I got people walking around calling me big sexy at the shop, and I
Is
gotta
it
watch
catching
that
on?
because I'm a happily married man, and I just gotta be careful with that.
I hear you, Big Sexy.
Yeah. There
I
you
don't
go.
think it's going anywhere anytime soon, unfortunately for you. And tonight we are joined by Jace Bauserman, who is a writer and editor for Bowhunting World magazine, one of the top bow hunting magazines out on the market today. It's actually one I get, which I didn't even put 2 and 2 together until I just looked up online to check it again. And I was like, when Phil and I were talking, it was like, I think I get that magazine. I'm not sure how I got that magazine, but I'm pretty sure I get that magazine. Like many of the magazines that show up, it's like, you order them, you forget about them, then it's like, all right, renew. Next thing you know, they just keep coming in. You're trying to explain to your wife why you need 5 or 6 bow hunting magazines.
Well,
You definitely need that one.
welcome to the show, Jace, man. How's it going?
Thanks. It's going great, Phil. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me. Been looking forward to doing this with you guys. So
Yeah.
listen to several of your podcasts, and was just asking you about that sheep a little while ago. So
Yeah.
and then
No.
Will said we can't talk about hunting yet, so we had to cut it off.
Well, Will, always want to throw a wrench in the bow hunting talk, but
Listen, if the listeners, if it's not being recorded and the listeners can't hear it, it doesn't count.
it doesn't count. So Jace, you live here in Colorado on the
Yep.
southern end of the state, and I mean, you just the last magazine that you guys put out, you got 2 or 3 articles in there. You're busy, man. I mean, I see you traveling, I see you hunting on social media, and tell us a little bit about the day-to-day grind of what you do and kind of the behind the scenes stuff, because honestly, I know a little bit about enough to be dangerous on the magazine side of stuff, but we're
Right.
curious to hear about really how much, what the different intricacies of what you do as an editor for the magazine. What does that entail?
Yeah, that's a good question. It is you hit the nail on the head with the word grind. I mean, it really is. Basically, my day usually starts around 5 in the morning. A lot of our clients are on Eastern time zone. Bow hunter numbers east west of the Mississippi, that whole deal. So I'm up early answering emails. Get a lot of conference calls and a lot of things knocked out early. I like to get all my emails handled, and then pretty much just go straight into whether depends on the day, whether I'm editing articles or writing some of my own. But usually it's a combination of both. Usually I'll spend time. Usually I spend a good chunk of the day editing articles that I bought from freelancers, planning future issues, and then doing my own articles. And then somewhere in between there, I usually got to go pick up a kid, and my wife and I have three kids and 3 wonderful kids, and so I got to commute them around and when she's working. And then I got to find time during the day to make sure I get out. And we got a lot of equipment testing we do. We try to be as real as we possibly can. We try to give as much information as we possibly can. So a lot of stuff with bow testing, broadhead testing, equipment testing, and then just shooting my bow myself. And then I always make sure at some point during the day I get my run in for the day. And about 9:30 or so, my wife and I retire on the couch for one of our shows that we like to watch together, and that's really about it. I coach my son's football team, coach his baseball team, basketball team. So it's running and gunning pretty much 24/7. So my wife's always concerned that I'm gonna burn myself out and run myself too thin, but you got to feel blessed to be able to be in this industry. And once you're in, one of my mentors once told me you need to wake up scared every morning and work as hard as you can to make sure that you're staying in touch with everything, and not forgetting how you got there, and just keep that real solid work ethic. So when I get tired and I get run down, that's something I try to remind myself. And and then when it's hunting season, like turkey season, it was a mad scramble, and those are the fun times. That's what you work so hard for. So it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too.
No, man, that's it. I mean, I've on the other podcast I do, the Championship Bowhunting. So I talked to
Yeah.
a friend of mine, Andrew Munsell, last year about a topic that he's had a couple articles published in some magazines, and it's something that a lot of us that's what we dream about, right? We want to be on that awesome hunt, come back, write a story about it, get it published in a magazine. Some guys want to be on the TV shows, some guys want to be in the magazines, and you get to call you get to do that 24/7, and maybe more so. Sorry guys, I'm here at the shop and there's the dart system going off behind me.
That's all right. I got my family's in the next room, so my kids will probably be filtering in from time to time, and all that good stuff. So that's what makes it fun, because it's real.
It's all good, man. But yeah, so and then having the, like I said, you're almost the facilitator, the organizer, right? Because like you said, you work on other magazine articles. So you're putting everything together. You're kind of the gatekeeper of what goes in, and it's very, and I can see it, man. I'm flipping through the pages, I'm reading articles, and I'm like, man, there's a lot that goes on here, from, like you said, the early editing to layout to the pictures to the ads and everything else. And has it come to a point yet where you're like, this is so much just the job, or are you still very passionate about what you're doing?
Oh no, I think I'm still super passionate. I always said when my passion for something runs out, then you don't need to be doing it anymore, because then you're gonna start faking it. And then when you fake it, especially in this industry, it seems like a poser gets spotted pretty fast. So it is a lot, just in the day to day. And we go to press with Bowhunting World 9 times a year. Plus we have our digital issues that we put out that are digital only. And then we have our website, which is www.grandviewoutdoors.com. I try to keep a running blog going on that during deer season, during turkey season, where I'm kind of doing semi-live updates from the field. I try to video my hunts, do some kind of editing, nothing fancy, like just basically iMovie, toss stuff up there. And then we also have a trade book, which is Archery Business. And that's our trade magazine, and I'm the associate editor for that title. So that one, just as involved with that side of things as I am with Bowhunting World. So between the two, just print titles, we're going 18 times a year to press, and it's just me, my associate editor, and my art director. So between the three of us, it's a lot of phone time, and it's just sometimes we just it's that panic of I don't know how we're gonna get this done, and we just kind of said the other day, if all three of us, we all seem to panic at different times, and if all three of us ever decide to panic at once, we're in trouble. The train's going to go off the track.
No, man, that's I mean, kudos goes out to you guys, because like I said, it's something I get. It's one of the few magazines I do get regularly, and it's always, I mean, it's always good content, and I like to see it. I mean, you guys, and correct me, like you just mentioned earlier, that the vast number of bow hunters is out east, right? So the whitetail content and the different topics on, food plots and this and that. I don't hunt that style of hunting that much.
Right.
But because of that, it still intrigues me, because I'm not saying I know everything with elk hunting or mule deer hunting. I don't. I'll be the first one to tell you I don't. But I'm more likely to actually pick up something and read an article from a topic that I'm not as familiar with, just because I'm intrigued by it, right? I'm like, well, what is there to that? What is it about really figuring out why, these animals are patterning this way, and it's interesting. And like you said, you grew up here in Colorado, so you grew up on the border of kind of whitetail country to the west, right? You're in that transition range.
Yep.
So you got your hands in everything.
Yeah, I mean, like right here where I live, it's a unique part of the area because I would say I'd say it's 50-50. I'd say it's 50% mule deer, 50% whitetail deer. Kansas is I can be in Kansas in less than 2 hours. I can be to Nebraska in less than 2 hours. But I didn't start out hunting whitetails like when I was hunting, and I was hunting 3 species a year, big game in Colorado. When I was hunting antelope, elk, and mule deer, it was always mule deer. And when I started writing more as a freelancer, it became very apparent. And I had several great editors, Mike Strandland, who was the editor of the magazine. I'm, Bowhunting World, Dwight Shue. I mean, they basically came to me and said, we'd love to buy more from you, but the majority of our readers want to read whitetail stories, so you need to kill some whitetails. And so that was, if you want to write more hunting stories, because to make it as a freelancer, I mean, I made my living as a freelance writer, and it's crazy. I mean, you can only sell so many hunting stories, so you got a lot of gear features and technical features and stuff like that. But to sell more hunting features, I had to go hunt more whitetails, and that really opened my eyes because for me, it was a new world. I mean, being in a tree was pure torture at first, man. I mean, I was horrible. I mean, I was basically wasting my time because I'd be up there for like 30 minutes and it'd be like, yep, time to get down. And then I'd go thinking I could slip all over and spot and stalk and do things the way I mule deer hunted. And the learning curve was huge. It was huge. But now, I mean, I love hunting whitetails. I mean, I absolutely crave it. So it was awesome to be able to do that, and I still get to hunt everything out west. I do make a lot of trips. By the end of December every year, I'm pretty sick of driving to the Midwest, so I'm over there quite a bit.
Yeah, but it works out pretty good for us because, like I said, just the last 4 or so years, I've started doing more whitetail hunting myself, and it seems it's great because you got all late August and September still to hunt the West. If you do some rifle hunting, you're still in October, and then you start hitting that late October to November whitetail season. And to me, it's awesome. I'm looking to try to pick up another whitetail spot, moving forward because I just like to extend the season that much longer. And like you said, it works out well for us that are living or close to the West, where we get to do all that.
Oh yeah, and that's what I love about where I'm at here is, I mean, I know high country mule deer for Colorado, that's a huge thing. But where I'm at, my season starts when I draw my mule deer tag here in the plains. It starts October 1st, and it goes all the way to December 31st. Yep. And in the particular unit I hunt, there's only one rifle season, and it's out by like November 5th or 6th. And so I can do all my whitetail stuff, and then when I get serious about my mule deer here, it's that week of Thanksgiving. Yep. I mean, into the first week of December. I mean, that's when the rut's the strongest here, and that's when the big boys are out cruising the sage flats and coming out of the farm country into the rolling hills. And so it's living here just gives me an opportunity to do that and enjoy that. And then my early part of November, latter part of October, it's pretty much whitetail.
Yeah, you made a good point. I completely forgot about that Eastern Plains. I've drawn that once the last couple of years, and that's a great tag too. But it's cool, man. I mean, to see the opportunities for those that that just educate themselves a little bit on the different states and the different seasons, and it's really there's a lot of opportunity out there. And you don't have to live in the West, right? You don't have to live in the West to achieve all that. So
no. And that's what's cool. I mean, I just finished editing an article today. The guy's actually my buddy. He was here last week. He came. He wants to learn to be an outdoor writer. He's from Kentucky, so he spent a week here at my house, basically just shadowing me, doing that sort of thing. He's
learning to write.
What's that?
Learning to write.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, he's learning to write, and then we did manage to get out and kill him a turkey. You know, we had to get out of the office for a little bit, um, but he came out to Colorado 4 years ago from Kentucky, pretty much totally green to elk hunting, and he's killed 4 bulls in 4 years out here.
Nice.
And I mean this is a guy that, I mean, his story is compelling because he's just like, I just started doing the research, and it's a 22-hour drive, but I save up all year. And I mean, the article that he wrote is cool because it just shows so much that it is possible. I mean, it's possible for any hunter to make that trip out west, because I know it's a dream for a lot of guys, but I talk to a lot of guys every year at seminars and stuff, and they're like, well, I'll never quite get that done if I'm saving up for an outfitter, this and that. And I got nothing against outfitters, but man, we got millions of public acres out here, and so it's a dream that can be easily achieved, I feel like, with the proper planning.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And it's Will's going to come out this year for his first elk hunt, so
Nice.
we're gonna be pouncing around the mountains for a few days this year. So looking forward to that. But like you
Scaring
said,
animals everywhere.
yeah, no, we're hoping to not scare and be very stealthy. But it's cool, man, because a few years back I brought a friend of mine that I used to shoot a lot of competitive archery with, and he came out, and it was a rifle season, second season rifle hunt. But we got him out, and I'm not sure if you still with us, Jace.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, sorry, your screen froze up on me a little bit here, man. But so he came out, and him and one of my uncles, they drew tags, and so I was up there with him, hunting with him, and just to see, people experience that for the first time, and
Oh yeah.
hiking the mountains, and then being able to tag out. He's able to tag out on a bull, and it was awesome. It was just that experience of being with friends as that happens for the first time. It's not as good as seeing your kids shoot something, because I got to experience that myself here a couple weeks ago. But
Right. I
it's
saw the
it's
turkey. That's awesome.
yeah, I appreciate it. It's pretty close. It's pretty cool. And but it's just one of those deals, like you said, just whether you have a friend out here or not, or a family member, if you put in the time and you learn, and you study and you pay attention to the details, you're going to make some mistakes. You may not tag out the first year, but you're going to get an experience if you're prepared and you're in shape, and you're ready as best you can be. You're going to have a great
Yep.
experience.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And you'll want to come back.
Right.
Um, you know, and it's like you said. I mean, the first couple of years I struck out whitetail hunting on my own. I mean, I went to Nebraska, and yeah, I mean, I did strike out. I just, they handed it to me bad. So, but it was one of those things where it's a learning curve, and you just keep pressing and learn and overcome it. And it's when it does finally happen, it's awesome.
Yeah, and that's it. That's what it's. I mean, for me, getting to talk with friends, and share stories, and learn from
Right.
each other. It's like it's such a pleasurable experience, and you getting to put those experiences down on paper and listen to other people's. And it sounds like a lot of fun. It really does.
You bring up a
It's
good
it's
point too, Jason. One thing I kind of wonder is there's always a lot of talk of guys going from east to west to hunt, right? But you, as a guy
mhm.
who's gone from west to east, do you have maybe, three of your big
Oh, yeah.
tips you give guys who are heading that way?
That are heading from west to east.
Yeah, trying out a new game with whitetail or
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I did was I just first thing I do is I try to find a spot that doesn't require a draw. Just not that I don't want to put in, but I'm kind of that impulsive person that I want to, when I make up my mind to do something, I want to go and I want to do it, and I don't want to wait. So, that's why, Iowa, I'm applying, but I try to find a state. Kansas, you got to apply. Nebraska, Oklahoma, some of these states, South Dakota, North Dakota, a lot of these states you can buy an over the counter tag. And then so that's the first thing I kind of look for, is places that I know I can hunt. And then the second thing I do is I mean, the websites of the game and fish departments today are leaps light years they were. I mean, take Colorado for example. I mean, we've got big game hunt planners now, right? I mean, we've got all these different types of things. But what I do is I just jump on and I start looking at harvest ratios, harvest statistics for different counties in the state that I want to hunt, and then look at the available public land. You know, Nebraska, you can grab their walk-in map online, and you can basically pull up every stitch of available walk-in ground. And so I just pull that up. I start looking for that public property. I relate it to counties that I've seen high success rates, and then I'll take a glance in the Pope and Young books and things like that too, just to see where some of the larger animals have been taken, and then make a comparison. And then once I do that, I mean, one thing that my job's taught me is, you can't be afraid to just call somebody on the phone and get them on the phone. So I reach out and I call the game and fish department. I just ask for the regional or terrestrial biologist for those areas. And I get that person, and then I call them. And 9 times out of 10, my biggest tip for these guys is when you call them, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to answer, and that's awesome because they're out in the woods doing what they should be doing. They're doing predation statistics. They're doing winter mortality rates. They're flying. They're doing fawn reproduction rates, buck to doe ratios. But when they do call you back, you need to be ready to go, because the more intelligent you are with your question, and the sharper you are with your questions, the more information they want to give you. So I write down a list of my questions that I have for them ahead of time, just in case they do answer. If they don't answer, I take that and I fold it up and I put it in my wallet, because it's always with me. And I promise you, when they call you back, it will be at the most unopportune time. You'll be, in Walmart with your family in the checkout line or something, and your phone will ring, and you want to talk to them, but then you get them on the phone and it's like, oh yeah, I can I, and then you're fumbling, and they're like, come on, man, their time's valuable. If you treat them like their time's valuable, I mean, I've gotten some killer spots, whitetail spots from terrestrial biologists, just doing that, being prepared, and then, letting them know that you're not afraid to do the extra work and get in there. And pretty soon, I mean, you get turned on to some great locations, and that's how some of my best spots in Nebraska that I've got came from a biologist that I'm now really good friends with, and that helps. That helps so much. So that's kind of a long-winded answer, but there you go.
No, that's
Oh no,
good.
I mean, yeah, because like you said, there is opportunities. People think about Colorado as being one of the places, or a few places where you can hunt public land, and that's not true.
Right? No, gosh,
There's other
no.
states that you can go pick up a tag. Whether online or over the counter. There's walk-in spots.
Yep.
I shot my first doe in Nebraska the same way. We went into a walk-in spot and the same thing. Looked at some maps. Got a decent idea, and I saw a couple small bucks. Ended up taking a doe. It was my first whitetail experience,
Yeah.
but it was all just off the cuff. Just like I
Yep.
said, it wasn't any outfit. It was an outfitted deal. It wasn't a buddy's
Right.
property. It was nothing like that. So.
Right. Right.
Um, but
Right.
there's opportunities. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
you'll get out of it what you put into it. Like you said, if you're
Yeah.
prepared.
And absolutely. And the other thing I'll say too, Will, is a good tip for somebody that I found out the hard way, for whether it's whitetails or turkeys, when you're going to chase something out east. One of the first things that I did when I was looking for those public land spots is I looked for the biggest spots, because being from the west, bigger means more vast and more area for me to get away from people and go. And but what I found out is it seems like everybody is drawn to those bigger areas and bigger tracts of public land. So what I started doing is looking for those smaller sections. I mean,
Pockets.
oh, pockets, man. And being that a lot of the Midwestern states are a lot smaller in size, a lot of those properties are chunked up. I mean, there's a 40-acre parcel in Nebraska that I hunt turkeys on that is just, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's 40 acres. So it's something I would have never looked at until I went out and I was like, holy cow, everybody's at these bigger, so I just started looking for those smaller ones that kind of fly under the radar. And,
That's the
if you
thing.
Google it, yeah,
People care a lot more about the open area of, your access than the animals do. They don't know the difference between what, you can access and what you can't. They're going everywhere.
sure, sure, sure. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think the record, and I may be wrong, but I think the record for the biggest buck taken with a bow in New York State is somewhere on Long Island.
Dang.
Yeah, like Suffolk County on Long Island, something like that. And it's like one of those spots that, people, there's not a lot of huge land. Like the Adirondacks is vast,
Right.
and yet that's
Right.
not where the record comes from. It comes from outside the suburbs,
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
There's my buddies from New Jersey, and he sent me a picture of their record bear, and it's this huge 600-pound black bear that was taken outside a suburb in New Jersey.
Yep. 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 And I mean, I don't know, I feel like in a way, and I don't know, Phil might, I don't know, but I feel like here in Colorado, with 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 elk even and with mule deer, some of my mule deer spots in particular, I feel like, and it's partially our fault, like riders' fault, right? That we've kind of beat that go deeper drum so hard that I'm finding a lot more animals in areas closer to two track roads and things that I might than I did 5 years ago, because I just feel like people are going by them. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with checking those spots out. Just because it's not 7 miles off of a trailhead doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to be a good spot. I mean, if the animals aren't pressured and people aren't there, I mean, they don't know that they're 7 miles from a trailhead. They just know they're not being bothered and they've got adequate shelter, food, water. Why wouldn't they be there? So it's worth taking a look at.
Yeah, the spot that I hunted in New Mexico last year was very much that. I mean, we went off this dirt road, and my cousin and I that were hunting, we were chasing some elk, and we made this long loop, and we come back around, and I look on my GPS. I'm like, well, it looks like there's a road right up here, and we weren't 3/4 of a mile off a road, when we made this big
Right,
old long
right.
loop,
Yep.
and go to find out, it's like, well, okay, so we started accessing that spot a little closer, and where I ended up shooting the bull last year, it wasn't a mile off the road, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And you can,
Yep.
I mean, we hiked for 4 hours one day, making this big long loop. Um, but at the end of the day, once we've discovered where they were hanging out, it wasn't like you said. People could have very easily hiked right past and
Oh,
not even thought
absolutely.
twice.
Absolutely. Yep.
So.
Yep. Yep.
So tell me a little bit. You got a Bowtech banner in the background. It looks like you got a Hoyt hanging back there. You just did a Matthews review, man. What's the deal? Pick your poison for me here, Jace. What are we shooting this year?
Well, I'll tell you what. Sorry, this blind's gonna kill me. I'm probably gonna move it over. Um, so that's one of the hard things, honestly, about the job is that, you know, um, the Bowtech banner is actually from a Possa Park event years ago. They had a 100 yard shoot, and they were testing out some of the new Bowtechs, and so we were shooting at 100 yards, and the winner got to take home the banner. So
Nice.
that's just kind of in the office there. But no, the Hoyt, that's my Defiant. I don't know, I usually get 9 or 10 different bows from different manufacturers, and so I try to do my absolute best to test them all, to shoot them all, and to give them all a thorough run. And the hardest thing for me is I like to get familiar with one bow, but I found that I really started focusing on my back tension and my release here about 2 years ago. I had a real hard struggle with target panic, and so I really took time to master my form and my release. And so now I feel like I can switch between bows as long as I stay true to my form and my release stays the same and my mechanics are good. So, this year turkey hunting, I killed a couple of birds with that Defiant, and then I killed a couple with my Matthews. So, and I'm going on a hunt here in the at the end of May for free ranging axis and hogs in Texas, and I'm going to take my prime. So, lots of different bows, but I like that too. I like being able to test the bows and see and I like being able to set up my own gear. I think that's an important aspect for a lot of bow hunters and people in this industry. I feel like you know um, I love being able to set up my own gear, work on my bows, time them, tune them. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm learning all the time because I'm constantly tinkering and tuning and shooting bare shafts and rotating my nock and trying to get optimal and just pushing, trying to get that maximum accuracy. So yeah, I love tinkering with all the new bows every year. It's a blast.
Yeah. So and I agree with you, man. I mean, being able to there's so many nice bows on the market right now.
Oh man,
I
it's
mean,
crazy.
we sell. I mean, here in the shop, we've got Prime and we've got Elite
Yep.
and Matthews and Hoyt and PSC and a little bit of Bear, and it's like, I mean, you can pick up any different number of bows, and it's like, and customers come in all the time. Oh, well, I don't know, I can't decide. It's like, well, at the end of the day, if I blindfold you and I put them all in your hand, you shoot a couple shots, you should be able to
Yep.
decide that way. You know, it's a good indicator. And at the end of the day, if you narrow down to a couple and you just like the way that one looks a little better than the other,
Yep.
there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. You know.
No, I hear you, and I get a lot of calls too from buddies and stuff like that. I mean, just asking, hey man, you shot this, you shot that. What's the best? And it's just, I mean, I haven't shot a bow in the last 2 years that I wouldn't take into the woods comfortably. And that's the same thing. I mean, I've got a bear hanging right here that I hunted most of November with. I love Elite's Impulse 31 for a short axle to axle bow. That thing's a nail driver. I mean, I took it to Texas in December of last year. I mean, it's one of those things where it comes down more. I tell people the same thing. It's more personal preference. It's how it feels when you first put it in your hand, and then if it's aesthetically pleasing to you, and you think it's maybe this bow's a little cooler or looks a little different, and you like it that way, or you can customize it a certain way you want. You can go with that one. I mean, these companies are making outstanding bows because if they don't, they're going to get. That's a tough ocean to swim in. The
Yeah,
bow
it
ocean
is.
is swimming, and if you don't make a good bow, these sharks are gonna swallow you up.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing. Most of these bow companies are just turning into fire-breathing dragons now. They're
oh
just
my gosh,
pushing each other so hard to push out
yeah,
better and better stuff every year.
yep. I just it surprises me every year because I've gotten to a point where I'm like, how much better? I think I said this 2 or 3 years ago, and it's then something happens and it's like, holy crap, it is a little smoother. The draw cycle is a little better.
I've got a question for you, and
Yeah.
so do you think that the market will ever permit, or do you think bow companies will ever step back from introducing multiple bow models every year and start stepping back because of that point of, like you said, I agree with you. You can only make a bow so fast and smooth at the same time.
Right.
They are little small details, and if you shot long enough, you can pinpoint those.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but for the average guy, it's hard to actual see real actual differences from one bow model that's from one year to the next. So do you think
Yep.
that, or do you think the market's just too far gone the way it's going to ever back off? And like arrows, you'll see some arrows
Yeah.
on the market for 3 or 4 or 5 years
Yep.
and no change.
Right.
And to me, I kind of like that because if somebody really likes an arrow and they want to shoot it and it does well for them, well,
Yep.
why change?
That's I feel the same way. I mean, especially on that, I have a certain um, I have a certain two arrows that have been my go-to arrows for years, and I love them. They're just, and my release hasn't changed in a year and a half. Once I started shooting the back tension and really getting into it, and once I learned to hunt with it, and I mean, but to answer your question, man, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if bow companies will not come out and launch multiple new models every year. I think that I think at least for a while, my opinion is I think we're going to continue to see it. I think we're going to continue to see them have several. They'll have that one that they brand as their flagship. That's their flagship, and it may come in a 33 and a half and a 35 and a half axle to axle, and have two different variations there. But I don't know that we're going to see. You know, I think we're gonna continue to see more rather than less. That's
Yeah.
just that's my thinking.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that so a little example a couple years ago, when Elite had the Energy Series, the 32, 35.
Yep,
I was a
230.
huge. They make great. Those are great bows, right? They
I love
shot
the
really
bull.
smooth. but then they came out with the Synergy, and for us being
Yep.
out west, it's like, man, that bow really doesn't have a place for us out here. I felt. I mean,
Yeah.
so for some
Yeah.
people, but it really
Yep.
didn't. To me, it just didn't seem like it was as fitting. And we ended up
Right.
selling more Energy 32s and 35s and Synergies the second year that we're out. So
Yep. Yep. Yep.
that was a good. I was happy to see a company, at least open their lineup for a couple of years. And some companies have started to do that. But like you said, like the Matthews and the Hoyts and some of the other ones, it's 2 or 3 new bows, and then they'll only keep one, for the
Yep.
second year.
Yep. 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 It comes back.
But
Absolutely.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm in the business of selling bows, so obviously
Right.
we want to keep selling them. But
Right.
at the same time,
Right.
it's tough because when I'll my guys tell me sometimes that I'm my own worst salesman in my shop because I'll tell a customer, I'll look at them right in the face and they'll say, "Is this really that much better than that?" And no, it's not.
No. It's
And
really not.
but that's okay because I just feel like I can I can go to sleep at night and
Yeah.
you
I,
know it,
I think that's great, man. I
yeah.
mean, it's a good thing because I mean, I've talked to a lot of I talked to a lot of pro shop owners at ATA this year, and I talked to a lot of I have tons of friends that bow hunt, and I get a lot of emails and questions about that very thing. Is this that much better than what I'm looking at? And the thing is a lot of these bows that are, you know, that were a flagship once, you know, that are now a company's, budget bow. In essence, I mean, it doesn't have the same name, but it has those technologies that were just that awesome 3 years ago. That and that bow now has all those technologies to it. That was a flagship model, just a couple of years back. And people were killing stuff with, and they were shooting 330 feet per second with, and hitting with, you know, 70 plus pounds of kinetic energy, and felt deadly, shooting longer distances and practicing at longer distances. And so, it's hard to say, oh yeah, man, it's got to be a flagship or nothing at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to see where it goes. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah, that actually brings up something I was kind of interested in talking to you about. And even outside of bows, what do you think some of the most interesting trends in bow hunting are going to be in the future or are going on right now?
Man, it's some of it scares me a little bit, I guess. But I think we're going to see more customization. I think from every aspect. I think we're going to continue to see color. I don't know, man. I don't get it. I mean, to a degree, I get it, but color options and color is huge, right? And matching everything to your bow, to your rest, to your sights. I mean, everything. And my buddies always give me a hard time, like here's my Hoyt right here, and here's my I got a blue G5 peep in there. I've got a pink, you probably can't even see it. I got a pink kisser button on it. My strings are yellow. Some of my serving that I tied in my rest with is flow green. Why? Because I'm just using what I have in my little bow shop out there. But I mean, and all my bows are like that. They just, if you look at them in pictures, people are like, I get people email me like, oh man, why don't you match everything? You're in a position where you can probably order all that stuff. Your Matthews dampeners are still black, and you could be green, and your strings just plain, but I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock into that. But I think color customization is still going to continue to be a huge trend. And the other thing that I see is I think we're going to continue to see um, broadheads. I know it's crazy. If I was gonna start a company, broadheads would be the last thing I'd want to jump into, just because the market's so saturated with them.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to continue to see. I think we're going to continue to see these hybrids. Really, I don't know. Just I think that's going to be something that we continue to see advance, and we're going to see new broadhead designs that are the mixture of a mechanical and a fixed.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what
I
I
just think
hunted
we're
with
going to
last
see.
year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to continue to see it, and I've hunted with one, and I'll tell you, it was awesome. Mostly over the last 4 or 5 years, I've been a real solid mechanical guy, just because out west I love their flight. I really feel like companies have done a good job with their blade retention and the penetration issues, and even quartering angles and things like that. We just did a huge broadhead test And I mean, we shot everything, and it was pretty impressive, and it was all mechanicals. But I think you're going to see that. I think broadheads are going to continue to go that hybrid route where guys are getting the best of all worlds. Arrows, I don't know if they can get much slimmer than some of them already are, but I'm gonna say color customization. Strings are huge. Guys are wanting 5 colors in their strings, and I mean, hey, that's cool. But yeah, I think color customization of accessories and that sort of thing, and then just in the broadhead arena, I think we're gonna see some different type of hybrids.
Yeah, I agree.
How about socially? Is there anything you're seeing out there going on in the bow hunting community?
As far as like social media and stuff, or just what
Anything on
people are.
social media or media in general? Any kind of
Yeah,
say not technologically driven
yeah, just
or
just
not
bow hunting.
technical driven? Yeah, yeah.
I, I think there's a huge. I think, man, I'll probably get tar and feathered for this, but I think there's a huge. I think public land bow hunting and do it yourself bow hunting. I mean, it's a big deal, but I think it's going to get even bigger. I think that people are getting. I think for a while we kind of lost touch with. I think we kind of lost touch with everything, the television craze. I'm just going to say it. The television craze kind of. I think we lost touch with people seeing all these awesome hunts and hunts that I've got to go on, and I feel very blessed to get to have gone on some of those and do those types of things. But I think we need to get back to our issue that we're working on right now. It's a public land only issue. I think that a lot of people, when I watch some hunts on TV today, still, I look at that and I go, that's awesome, but I'm never going to get to do that. Chances are I'm never going to get to do that. So how can I relate to that? How can I relate to planting 5,000 acres of beans when I don't own an acre? You know what I mean? So I think we're going to see, I would like to see, and I'm getting a lot of emails and I'm getting a lot of, push with the magazine. I really feel like we need to kind of get back to the roots of bow hunting and the pure joy of it and doing it yourself and doing it on public land or doing it on land you have access to. There's nothing, in my opinion, I mean, public land bow hunting is great, but if you own property or if you go beat on a door, that's great too. I mean, I just think that it's something that it was kind of got as a lost deal for a while, where I think we kind of lost touch with just with bow hunting in general, and it kind of exploded into this huge state. And at the end of the day, when I go bow hunting, I just want to be in the woods. I want to shoot what makes me happy. My buddies rib me about it all the time, and stuff like that. But to this day, I mean, it might be the first day of a 6-day hunt in Kansas, and a 120-inch deer will walk under me, and I'll shoot him.
Yeah.
Why? Because it made me happy, and it tripped my trigger, and it got me shaking, and I made a great shot. And I don't care. I don't care what that it wasn't 150, and I don't care that he wasn't 4.5. And I mean, if you're managing deer and stuff like that, that's awesome. Do it. But when you're on public ground or hunting ground, you got permission with, you got 8 days to make it happen. I like to eat meat, and I like to fill tags, and I mean, I guess I'm still kind of old school in the fact that I just like to see my arrows plop through stuff.
Oh no, and,
So
and like you said there too, though, getting back to not having to seek approval of other people for what we do, right?
yep,
Because
yep,
at the end of the day, if 120-inch deer is what trips your trigger and what is what's going to make that equation balance out at the end of the day, right? I got meat in my freezer.
right,
I had a great experience. I don't care what
yeah,
the antlers look like or the horns
that's
or
right,
whatever, right?
that's right,
And it's I'm 100% the same way, and it's something that the sheep hunt we talked about earlier was a perfect example.
yeah,
I went out and I looked for a unit that was going to give me the most successful odds to draw.
that's
It
right.
wasn't the most forgiving unit to hunt. There wasn't the
Nope,
biggest trophies in that unit, but my odds were correct, and I drew with the points I had, and it was probably to date one of my favorite 2 hunts I've ever been on. You know,
Right.
and
Right.
I you know, the ram I shot was mature. It wasn't trophy by any means, but you know what, man, I'd do it again. You know, in a
Oh
heartbeat.
God. Yeah. And I mean, when I saw it, that's why the first thing I asked you today, right, when we
Yeah,
weren't doing this, I said,
yeah,
I want to know about your sheep because when I saw it on Facebook, I knew I've been all over that country. I know the unit you hunted, and it is torture. I mean,
yeah.
I can't even imagine what it was like getting that ram out of there, honestly. And I mean, that's why we. I don't know. That's what I forget, and that's. I mean, I never really totally answered Will's question probably because I get excited and then I get scatterbrained and but I just get really passionate about I mean I just want to make sure that that's what it should be about. I mean, it should be about you put in the work, you drew the tag, you went in, you got it done, and you came out with something that made you happy. I mean, in our public land issue that goes to press on Monday, my article in that issue is 2 does that I shot on a public land hunt on in Oklahoma this year on a early October season where we went and camped but I mean we there was 4 of us that went and we killed four does and we got shots at turkeys and we had a camp and we cooked on we grilled out and it was just it was awesome. And when I get a chance at a great buck and it comes along, fantastic. I've been fortunate to kill some good animals, but for the most part, I mean, if I go out there and it makes me happy and I mean, I'm shooting.
Yeah.
So,
No
Yeah,
criticism for me here, man. I'm with you. I'm with
yeah,
you.
it's that appreciating the moments and the experience and you're learning and just enjoying it all and taking it all in.
yep,
Yeah, my
it's
dad jokes around because he's, one of the units we elk hunt, there's good potential for elk in there. And
right.
there's a couple years where I shot some, decent bulls, 260 to 280 class, which is good, right?
Great.
But the trophy potential is 300 plus in this unit.
Right,
And he says, you're
right.
never going to shoot one of those bigger bulls if you keep shooting those smaller ones. And I said, you know what? One of these days, one of those bigger bulls is going to make a mistake, and that's just what's going to happen. But until
Yeah.
that day comes, when I get a good shot on one of these other ones, I'm shooting. You
Oh,
know.
absolutely, man.
So
Absolutely.
You get me in front
My
of a doe, I get all jacked up.
well, that's right, and
I
that's what
start
I'm talking
shaking.
about. That's
Like,
that's the social crate, man. That's what we're doing. I mean, that's why we're out there. When it quits doing that, I mean, I mean, what's the point? I mean, we went to Nebraska this year, my first turkey hunt this year. I've killed a pile of turkeys with my bow over the years. I love it. I'm addicted to hunting them. And we're hunting on my buddy's property. His dad owns the place. And I've hunted it before. I hadn't got to go back. And I mean, right off the bat, I mean, we have like 4 Jakes coming across the field, and there's some Toms off to our left, and the Toms just aren't acting right. I mean, but these Jakes, they're all bunching up and wanting to come in, and he's like, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna shoot this Jake. I'm gonna shoot one of these Jakes, and he's like, really? And I said, yeah. And then so you can hear him on the camera, like as these Jakes come in, I start to draw back and he goes, oh, you're really going to shoot one, you know? And then we shoot a Jake and we laugh about it and everything like that. And I said, I'm sorry, man. I said, I can't help it when it comes to turkeys, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that, I think we need to appreciate the fact that we get to do this, that we get to go and we get to bow hunt. And that's a that's something that I would tell somebody that's new or getting into this is you can burn out. Man, you can burn out in a hurry because the expectations set upon us that you can allow to be set upon yourself are so great.
Yeah.
I mean, that expectation of, it's my first year in the whitetail woods and I need to kill a 4.5-year-old and he needs to be 150. And if that's what trips your trigger and you want to hold out for that, that's fine. But I'm just saying don't burn out. Go out there and do what makes you happy. And if you are in your home state and you're holding out for a monster buck and you start to get that whitetail burnout, you've been in a stand for 2 weeks and it just isn't happening, bounce to a neighboring state and buy a tag and go hunt public land and go kill a doe.
Right.
Just go kill one and it takes the pressure off, it rejuvenates you, you kind of get your joy back, and then you can go back home and hunt for that
you
monster
got the
buck. But
food.
don't get burned out. Don't get burned out.
Yeah. Another thing I wonder is with your readership, are you seeing an increase now of newer, older hunters who maybe hearing someone like Joe Rogan or, picking up on hunting from somewhere else that, maybe didn't exist before and are now getting into
Right.
hunting later in life than somebody who starts out, from, 7 years old to 13 years old,
Yeah.
raised by their dad
Yeah.
or mom, whoever.
Yep. And I am, and we are. I'm getting a lot of emails. Our readership ranges, but I think for our younger crowd, digital's huge. We get a lot of stuff on our website, and a lot of responses I've noticed on our website are in that 16 to 25 range. And then another thing, I mean, podcasts are huge. These things are great. You guys doing these podcasts, Joe doing his podcast, all these different podcasts, because people are listening to them, and then it's like, wow, archery's cool. I've been in pro shops, and this is really cool. And Phil, you've probably maybe seen this too. I mean, where kids are wanting to come in and have their birthday party
Hmm.
at the pro shop. They want to rent gear and they want to shoot. I mean, social media. I mean, there's three girls in a pro shop. Jay McInich at the ATA was telling me. He said, I was at a pro shop and there was three girls in there, and they're Instagramming pictures of them shooting, these bows that they rented. Pretty soon, three more girls walk in, and so I mean, I think the potential for growth in archery is exciting. I think it's huge.
I've got
Um,
an article I think or a bow shop you'd be very interested in writing an article about. And it's not Phil's, although Phil's very interesting and as we've said before, very sexy. But it's not Phil's this
right.
time.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
could
So
Okay. Well,
we could talk about
you
it
have to.
after, but it's
Okay.
for those the people who have listened, it's Gotham Archery in Brooklyn. And
Okay.
all the things we just talked about with these new hunters and the Instagram, and I mean they're adults having full-fledged birthday parties at these places.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it's cool. I mean, and some of them will never go into the bow hunting woods, and that's fine. And I hope a lot of them do. But as long as they're finding something, archery is such. It's just
It's a beautiful sport.
it's so fun. I don't know how to explain it, man. It's just a blast.
so I mean, I've just got a few minutes left, Jace, but I wanted to
Yeah.
talk to you. Additionally, you're a fitness guy, man. I see you running all over the place. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier, you
Yeah.
get your running every day, and
Yep.
I mean, it seems like that's also a trend over the last 3 to 5 years that has really just
Yeah.
picked up speed, and people are appreciating being fit for hunting, the value.
Yeah.
What's your
Yep.
what's your 2 cents on that?
You know, my 2 cents on it is, for me now, it's become a must. I know it doesn't have to be a must for everybody, but I've gotten to the point where I've seen in my success rates, the more physically fit I am, and I'm not going to say especially out west. I'm going to say the more physically fit I am, east or west, I'm mentally sharper in a tree stand. I can stay in that ground blind an additional 4 hours. I can go a little bit farther. I can hunt 6 days in a row on a whitetail hunt, getting up and sitting dawn to dark without taking a day off in between, because my body's ready for that. So, I think we kind of pigeonhole that as to, it's the Western thing, to be in really good shape, but I get just as much advantage of being in top physical shape for my Western hunting as I do hunting Midwest or out East or anything. I mean, I think across the board, and I mean, it's just a healthy lifestyle too. I mean, I love doing this stuff, and the healthier you are, I feel like the longer you can do it. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's just become a part of my everyday what I do. I set new goals for myself, barriers I want to break down, and that sort of thing. But it's definitely something that's starting to entice a lot of people. Um, and my encouragement would be just to find whatever level you want to do it at, and get comfortable with it. And then if you want to progress to something else, do it. If you want to just stay in that zone where you're feeling good, and maybe it's training 2 times a week, and that's what you want to do, good for you, man. That's 2 times a week that you're training. If you want to get really serious about it and boost it up, good for you. But I don't think I think that everybody has to find their own niche, with the fitness game. And I know a lot of buddies and stuff around here. with running and stuff like that. They've hit me up and, want to go and start doing, writing out programs and stuff like that. And I love doing stuff like that because I love seeing people get excited about anything they're passionate about. So for me, I think it's, personally now I'd call it a must for me and for my success and my mental preparation to go in and do what I need to do during a long season.
Yeah, it's. I agree with you. With the it's not just a Western thing, and it's something that, like I said, as I've started doing more whitetail hunting the last few years, I had to mentally prepare myself to sit in a tree stand.
Oh man.
It it was the very first, like the first buck I shot, which was a few years back, and it was on a friend's property who's got private property in Nebraska, and
Yeah.
my first sit of the first evening, the first buck that came running by, he got an arrow in him, and I was
Yeah.
done. And then that next year I said, you know what, I'm gonna hold out for a little bit longer. I'm gonna sit in that tree, and like I said, it was months of literally mentally preparing myself for that.
Oh yeah.
But the physical part of the training and everything else, it helps you with all that. So
Yeah, it does. And
great
when you're
point.
hurting a little bit, and yeah, it's great. But I think everybody needs to find the workout that's and the program that's right for them. It doesn't have to be running, it doesn't have to be lifting, it doesn't have to be, you can swim, you can bike, you can hike. Walking 2 or 3 times a week is better than nothing. I mean, just
CrossFit, whatever.
yeah, absolutely. CrossFit,
Phil has
good
his
spin
own.
class.
Phil's got his own boot camps going on now at the archery shop.
Yeah, I saw it on I was looking at your website the other day, and I
Yeah.
think that's cool because I mean, why not, right?
Oh yeah, and we've got. I mean, there's so many people like now, the last couple we've done, it's 12, 13 people regularly coming in on a Sunday morning, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, if there was 2 or 3 people, we'd do it. But
Yeah, absolutely.
it's there's some, it's just 12 to 15 people come in, and like you said, it's like-minded people. You get to talk a little bit about bow hunting or whatever else, and you get to work out, and you just it's a great, it's a great little addition that we do. But you know I, I apologize. I mean, I'm gonna have to cut it short here because I've
No,
got a
I know.
class I got to
Yeah,
get to.
good.
We'll have to get you on again, Jace, because there's so many other topics that we can definitely just burn through an hour quickly talking about.
We have guests that are way too interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I hope I'm one of those, Will. I mean, I love to
Definitely.
join
We don't
you.
have people on who aren't. All of them. They're
No,
all
this
just way
was
too
a blast,
interesting.
and I'd love to do it again with you guys.
Jace, do you like supplements?
What's that?
Do you like supplements?
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I love? When I don't
You live
have to
mountain.
pay full price for those supplements.
I'm
You know,
looking at your hat, and I see Mountain Ops. So
hey, I don't know if they advertise in your magazine or not or how these things work, but I'll tell you right now, if you are like me and do not like paying full price for your supplements, you can
right,
use the coupon code NBH20. Even you, Jace, you can use this code. Just because you're in the
awesome.
industry, it does not preclude you from using it. So if you want to get
Okay.
20% off your purchase next time at Mountain Ops, all you got to do is do what, Phil?
Type in the code NBH20.
That's right. Do as Big
NBH.
Sexy's alluring voice tells you. And enter
NBH20.
NBH20.
I like.
Not only that, as we talked about earlier, Jace said it, customization's becoming bigger and bigger in this industry, right?
Oh yeah.
And there is one binocular company out there that's going head and shoulders above everyone else when it comes to customization. And I know longtime listeners of the show are well aware that that binocular company is Maven Optics. And if you go to mavenoptics.com,
Mavenbuilt.com.
mavenbuilt.com. Thank you, Phil. That's why Phil's here. Keep things running smooth. Mavenbuilt.com. When you buy a pair of binoculars, you enter the code NBH gift at checkout, and they're going to send you some free Maven swag.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You can use that too. I mean, maybe you're not getting, 9 free binoculars a year like Jace. You need some new ones that you're buying yourself.
Check it out.
Yeah. Give it a shot.
That's
Or
good.
Jace, if you don't have any Mavens and you want to see what they're all about, have them max your coat of many colors bow,
right? Yeah,
Optimize them.
absolutely. As long as they can match pink, yellow, green, blue, orange,
Believe it or
you
not,
know.
they can. They can. I've gone on there just to see how many different colors I can throw on a pair of binoculars, and you can do a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They even have camos like Cryptek and Kuiu.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk to them about getting that First Light XD because that's hot. That's a hot pattern.
That's right. Hey, Jace, man, good talking with you, catching up with you a little bit. Like I said, we'll touch base again soon.